From my office, we've got Allie Putnam, who many of y'all have met, that is helping tremendously with this project. Next to Allie, we've got Richard Stubble, who is the premier permit lawyer, premier attorney in town.
Cut him off on the beard.
Big John to his son's cousin, I believe. Joining us today, we have Kevin Schwantz, who is the 1993 500cc world champion. I am told by many people that traveling with Kevin in Europe is like traveling with the Beatles. It takes a while to get through the airport. And then, of course, last but not least, the man himself who has been putting this project together for many, many years now, and we're getting closer and closer. Tavo would like to say a few words of thank you for your efforts.
Thanks, guys. Actually, I had no idea this was such an orchestrated shindig. I thought we were coming out. I talked to Bubba a while back, and we were talking about coming to get a burger out. And Kevin and I, over the last 2 months, haven't been in Austin at the same time much. And when Saul and I were talking about having a burger, we said, let's go out to Bubba's and have it. And then Trey goes, oh, we're going to be out there anyway. So anyway, we just decided to come on out and join to fill y'all in a little bit on what's going on. So, one, thank y'all for your support. I recognize a lot of the faces, and I'm familiar with what you've been doing, Vance, and the Friends of F1, which is nice to kind of combat those 9 bloggers with 7,000. And just the craziest thing I've ever seen. But where we are right now is permitting is going really, really well, thanks to Richard. We stroke his ego, but unfortunately now we're going to have to make a bigger door to get out. But he has done an awesome job on that. We're going to have an announcement next week. We just finalized it this week that we're adding a different architect group to help kind of complement Tilke. It's one that everyone is very familiar with, one of the premier ones in the United States for American sport experience, fan experience, because as good as Tilke is at what they do, there are 2 things that need to happen. They need to have an architect of record in the United States, meaning an American architect. So we're going to have some local Austin architects, which was important to all of us as a team to have local people. But then we're also going to have a presence from a Texas company that's pretty well known that everyone will have heard of. Because I think one of the things that racing hasn't done around the world, not in the U.S. and not in Europe either, is what the NFL, the NBA, and baseball has done for the fan, the average fan, whether it's a premium seating ticket or whether it's just a general admission. Your fan experience at these new stadiums is pretty special. You know, it's actually unbelievable. Something that for the racers in the room, we've been happy with a hot dog and just somewhere to sit. And truly, to make this more than a racetrack, we've got to make the fan experience be really nice. Of course, the hardcore race fan can wander and go to certain corners and actually enjoy the pure, joy that is a Grand Prix car or any of the other series. But for the person who's there more as an event, not necessarily as die-hard F1 fan, but a die-hard sports fan, they need to be taken care of. They need to have great parking. They need to have great attendance. They need to have great seats with lounges and, all the kinds of things that everyone's expecting now, with American sporting facilities. So it's something that I think is going to raise the bar a little bit in the sense of the fan experience for most motorsports facilities. And what we're trying to do is combine a great racetrack from the drivers, racing purists, but also something that the whole family, that mom and dad want to bring their kids even though they're not, because they're having a good experience there. So that's going to be announced probably next week. We had the guy that runs ACUS, so the president of ACUS, Nick Craw, who's on the president of the Senate of the FIA, he was in town last week. He brought his lieutenant. They were blown away with what they got to see because it's a lot of the stuff that the public hasn't seen. They knew, they saw that the team is really well put together. Everything that we haven't released necessarily yet, they've gotten to see. And I think they had a really good visit. They met a few of the state and city and county officials. And that went really, really, really well. We did an aerial of the site. I think they were pleased with that. We are on the education component. We've made a little bit of progress with Houston Tillotson and UT and A&M. We're combining it with some of the overseas stuff that's being done at Cambridge. It's just, our goal really is to have the education component put together by the first quarter of 2012, so that we're getting all the input from all the schools. We got Del Valley also getting their input on how we can help K through 12 and really make it curriculum that there's actually some meat on it instead of it just looking good in the press. All the stuff that's going to go on the opposite side of the track, but on the property, whether it be commercial, retail, innovation center, all the things that we're hoping to attract, similar to the way Silverstone's set up, where they've got 50 businesses around there. We've got a huge database that everyone that is calling in, asking for information, asking, we're actually taking all their energy requirements so that we know that we put that all in the ground, so that we're not having to go back and tear up a boulevard. I think that we've made a significant amount of progress with the traffic stuff. So I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here and say anything that the county needs to hear first. But we've done some fairly significant traffic analysis with two of the top firms. They've spent a lot of time down here. One of them is one of the ones that the county kept citing. Do some roads need to be improved? Sure. Are we willing to do some of them? Sure. And we're going to make a huge improvement right through the middle of the property. But I think that even as things sit now with coning, cleaning up, patching up some roads, that it's significantly reduced from the 12-hour figure, like significantly more than half even. So I think that's going to be an ongoing process. We've got a really good relationship now that Trey and Richard have been working hand in hand with the county. I think that they felt like that they weren't having enough information. We've really tried to make a huge effort that wasn't the case any longer. So there's ongoing dialogue. There's certain task force that are going to be put together. So I really think that that's not going to be an issue. I think that'll be something. Can I say that there won't be any traffic for a Grand Prix? I'd be lying to you, and you'd all know it. Of course there's going to be traffic, and if there's not any traffic, guess who's going to be the saddest guy? That's going to be me. That means I didn't do a very good job. On the F1 front, I think that everything is going really well. I spoke to Bernie actually about 100 yards from here. That's why we were a couple of minutes late. So he's really pleased with the way everything's going. Tomorrow's his birthday, so he was actually calling about the gift that I gave him. I'm not going to share it with y'all because I'm sure it'll make it out in the press, but it was a very unique 80th birthday present that I gave him that I think everyone in Texas will be proud of. That's being what I chose to give him. But they're pleased. The FIA Senate is meeting all next week, talking about a lot of the rule changes for next year, talking a lot of certain people trying to push the 90-day mandate on limit on a track inspection. That has always been in effect, but Abu Dhabi didn't do it, Valencia didn't do it, Singapore didn't do it, Korea obviously didn't do it. But what I'm saying is, we naturally, if we have the luxury of having a final inspection 90 days before and being able to get a preliminary race in, as a promoter and as an ownership group, we'd love to have that luxury, right? Who wouldn't like to work the bugs out of the system? But when you've got such a short runway with the way the demands of how quickly you need to build because of the way that Bernie is structuring his contracts now, I don't think we have that luxury, and so I don't want us to be penalized. I don't want it to be that, wow, if we're ready, 36 days before, that we didn't get the final inspection. So I feel really confident that that's not going to be an issue, that no matter what is raised, there's no way that you don't have a Grand Prix if you're ready the day before. I mean, Bernie's coming to race, end of story. So from that standpoint, people have asked about timing. Where are you on the calendar? Again, I think I stated this to you guys. I think there are pros and cons to making any argument, right? You could argue that during the early summer it's too hot for the fans. It'd be better to go in the fall. I kind of tend to agree with that. In the fall, the problem is then you're really competing. You're competing on TV with the NFL, which is hard to do. And in this particular